Welcome back, huh?
No, we're live, yes, and it should pop up shortly. We are live. It's saying live.
Yeah, it's saying live that we are live. I mean, it's going to take a
There
second
we go.
to show up.
Ooh. Hello.
Hi guys.
So, how's everybody doing?
In here, I'm all right.
Yeah, good. Thanks. Good. The first two panels were really interesting. So it was really interesting to hear about everyone's work and stuff and what they're doing. And it was really cool.
Yeah, we're just gonna give it some time. A couple more people coming in. Hello, everybody. Welcome and to join us here. And yeah, Sam Gilbey, as you can see, is in here. He's a great prolific artist. He's also with the Poster Posse as Andy Fairhurst, as we mentioned earlier. And even though we had basically a lot of Poster Posse going on, I mean, Matt Ferguson used to be a Poster Posse member.
Yeah,
I don't even know
that's
if I knew
back
that.
in the early days, I think. Yeah.
Yep. And yeah, a couple of people already back. Hey, Davey, how you doing, my man? And yeah. There's a sad thing that happened right after we stopped talking live. We have to say, Gareth, Matt, and James and I, we had some cool stuff behind the scenes. Sadly, we didn't record it, but we were talking about toys, and everybody was showing off their toys. But I think the photo is online. Is it?
I'll tweet that now. I'll tweet that now and go, and also go watch Sam Gilbey. We'll do that. I'll do that now. So yeah, we'll just let people sort of filter in, and I'll do some posts.
Yeah, let me do that while people are joining. After that, I'm gonna inception again here.
How's your day, Sam?
My day has been good. I've just been getting some bits and pieces ready for this.
Sam Gilbey live. Swipe up to watch.
That's a glitch in the Matrix.
Oh yeah. Do you where do you stand on the Matrix?
Yeah,
where do I stand on the Matrix?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to do a poster, but equally, I watched it again recently actually because and it's I'm not sure how well it's aged, honestly. Like, because it had such a gigantic impact.
Yeah.
Back in at the time in terms of the especially the special effects and everything, and I like everyone else was like really on board for that. I loved it at the time.
I think the first one still is good enough in my opinion, but
yeah, I mean, it's still a really good film. I feel like I saw it so often back then. I thought if I had a break, it would feel fresh again, but I was almost like I feel like I downloaded it.
Yeah,
I just watched it so much back in the day. But yeah, it'd be interesting to do a poster, but it would be probably tricky to do it as an official one because would you ever probably never get Keanu to sign off his likeness? So
yeah,
it would probably be a fan art thing if anything. But I mean, I'm looking forward to see what they do with part 4. I mean, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I mean, they filmed it around here. I'm still hunting for that production poster. I don't know if you have you heard about it? Do you know what it's?
I don't know.
Since the movie, I think it's called Project Ice Cream, and they had basically the cone was the Matrix code, but just in brown.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had like 2 scoops of ice cream, and you had some sprinkles on top of the ice cream, and the sprinkles were red and blue pills. And it's a really cool production poster. I'm still asked around a couple of people that work at Babelsberg Film Studios, and maybe I might get one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, but it would be amazing if I could get one.
Yeah, you'll get lucky, I'm sure, if you keep on it.
Yep.
So I've just been informed by Technical that that when you go in and we're going to just see everybody, he's going to do some screen sharing. When you get into that, just give us 1 second before you start, and we'll just make sure that it's all looking cool.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's cool.
Also on another note, since we're just talking about film stuff, Uncharted is filming here in Berlin, or in Babelsberg again, and I had a little nice conversation. I told it earlier. I don't know if it was online, it was live or not, but that Ruben Fleischer and a couple of people of the crew and Tom Holland came to the local IMAX here and watched it. And Ruben Fleischer went up and asked where he should sit because of Corona and hygiene and all of that. And the colleague there, she said she said to him, "Yeah, take a seat anywhere and wank to me when you sit."
Oh my
She
God!
said, actually, wank. But and Ruben Fleischer turns to my buddy, and he was
I
like,
cannot believe you said that live.
she means wave, right? And yeah, she did. So
Wow. Okay.
little miscommunication there, but yeah,
Lost in translation.
exactly.
Lost in Translation. Good film. Good film. Another good film.
Good film.
Did you watch Tenet already, or what?
No,
I
I
haven't watched
haven't.
it. No.
No, how can you say it's a good film then?
I just said that Lost in Translation is a good film.
Oh, okay. I was wondering.
Well, I'm looking forward to the other one that she's done with Bill Murray and
Yeah.
Rashida Jones as well. Up for that.
Yep. It's looks even Lost in Translation.
Yeah.
Well, I've just done a couple of tweets. I've posted it into your group as well. So I think we should start. Because numbers are ticking up. I can see that happening.
Exactly.
Well,
And people can check it out later if they're not here live.
Yes,
so.
everybody can rewatch this stuff. This stuff is rewatchable.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for joining. And
We're at 23 right now, so there's a couple more people.
It's gonna. The numbers are they're on the rise.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so Sam, let's have a. Do you want to take the wheel and have a chat with Sam?
Sure, I can do that. So you have something cool planned for us, as we already mentioned. We're gonna go and have some. I'm just gonna call it live drawing now, but what happened in the last couple of months? I mean, you've been in the lockdown. A lot of stuff was going on. You had the kids at home a lot. How did your creative process and your work that came out? How was that for you?
well, yeah, like for everyone, it's been strange times. I've been lucky in that I've been able to stay busy, and I've had like enough commission work on that's kind of kept me going, and that's the cool thing about if you have deadlines to meet and you've got work to do, then it helps to keep your head kind of in the game. I would have loved to have done more posters this year, but I also took the kind of decision that while there was commission work coming in for other stuff, sometimes within the realm of movies and pop culture, I was very happy to be doing that. I mean, I have been working away on several posters that are either in for approval or have been approved. Nothing I can show yet, unfortunately, because you just don't know until release dates are confirmed and everything. Things can change. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, it's been, and having the kids at home has been really nice and also tough at the same time. So I actually normally have a studio, which I share with another artist, but I'm working at home. So I'm in my dining room. So the only poster I've got up here is my daughter's learning the alphabet. So that's
I mean, there's some cool alphabets out there when it comes to art. I mean, I think Tom Whalen did all the alphabet ones, right, with the Star Wars characters, or somebody did. Some cool artists are definitely. And
yeah, there's some good stuff out there for that. So, but yeah, so it's mean so when we're doing homeschooling, that was tough because that was all happening in the same room. I'm trying to work, but we tried to do it kids were kind of doing that in the morning, and then afternoon I had plenty of time to concentrate. But yeah, then they're going back to school next week, so that is kind of a bittersweet thing. We're kind of looking forward to it. They're looking forward to it as well. Mm-hmm. But also, we're going to miss having them around all the time as well, because that's just been our routine. That's been our thing. So.
Really, you are going to miss them. Just that
yeah,
some
honestly,
parents. Yeah, it's like, is that you being for real or is it?
That's for real. But yeah, it's a mixed thing. Yeah, because it'd be nice that you don't get any time in the daytime without them. So and obviously, you have kids and you want them to be around, but you get so used to the school thing. But yeah, so it's good. It's been nice overall.
Did they at least give you a more creative input since they're around and do stuff?
Oh yeah, they're exactly. It's like having another client. Don't do it that way.
Fierce critics.
Yeah, exactly.
What did they help you on? Which project? All
of them. I couldn't do anything without them.
Okay, but where was the critique the harshest?
To be fair, they're one of the coolest things about being able to do what I do is for the kids to be able to see that as well. So to be able to work from home and do something creative Not that I would necessarily want to try and push them in that way.
Hmm.
And if they end up going that way, that's great. But, you know, if they don't, that's also fine. But it's really cool to be able to like show them what I'm doing, and for them to think the stuff I'm doing, you know, is normal.
Yeah.
Because it is unusual. So you know, I'm very grateful to be able to work as an artist, work from home or in my studio, but just to be able to do that on a day-to-day basis, you know, is a real privilege. So, you know,
Yeah.
I'm always kind of grateful for that.
And obviously
And
you
I
do.
mean,
Oh, don't know.
I'm sorry. You mean in the background you can see a picture? Is that a rough sketch for a new Jaws print? Because it looks like
Yeah,
teeth
this
at
is
the
a new.
bottom.
Yeah, I like to start in chalk. Well, I'm going to do that. As just like Quint would.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's actually my daughter's. But yeah,
I didn't
I
even notice
figured.
that.
Actually,
I've got the ring light in front of me, so it's like completely obscuring. I can only see part of your face, but I'm just going to look at that now. Wow.
Yeah. In the back you can
Yeah,
see.
Yeah, I can see it.
so
But
that's,
yeah.
that's how we go.
That's great. I mean, let's not keep the people away from your session, your drawing session, I'm gonna call it, and let's get into that. I would say.
Yeah, well, actually, what I'm going to do, because I know some, like, I think Andrew, Swainson, Dolly, they're going to be a drawing, aren't they? So
Yeah.
what I'm going to do is more of a breakdown of, like, creative process. So looking at making a poster and then how I might approach it. And,
Awesome.
you know, all that kind of thing. So let me try. Okay, so you need to allow me to do the screen sharing from the host, please.
Yeah, we'll do that.
We can talk in the meantime.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've just got a quick little.
Just a second. But yeah, so what do your kids like to draw? Some particular topics, or do you, if you do like your own like little warm up drawings, you give them a task?
Well, the kids are like really both into Pokemon at the moment. So
That's done, by the way.
that's
Sorry.
something. Okay, that's cool. Let's try.
So as you share your screen, just allow us a quick.
Yeah. Pokemon. Yeah, my kids are into Pokemon. So there we go. Now, can you see that now? So if I'm
Yes.
screen sharing. There we go. So there's my desktop. Cool. So this is a quick snapshot of some of the stuff I've done this year. So as I say, it's mostly not been posters, but it's been kind of in
Could you
the
wait?
realm of.
Could you wait a second? I think it's not showing up on for everybody. I think. Okay. And I'm sorry if Gareth, could you tell Key, because Key is our little wizard behind the scenes. Yeah, and she could have to resize it on the top, the cropping. She needs to get rid of the cropping or the background. One of the above. You got me? Okay. Yeah, but yeah, she has to. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Cool. So yeah, this is just a quick kind of montage of some of the stuff I have been doing. So I've been really fortunate to do 2 Empire covers this year, like one for the subscriber edition with Baby Yoda, and then just recently last month for the newsstand edition. I've done a science fiction poster for the Companion, which is like this app that's coming out, and I did this for their Kickstarter campaign while they were looking for funding. With the Poster Posse, I got to do some work for the Muppets for their new show Muppets Now on Disney Plus. So that was a real kind of lifelong dream to get to paint them. A steelbook cover, a Blu-ray cover for a new release of Crash, David Cronenberg film, a podcast, and some stuff for Prime Video, like via an agency that commissioning kind of like almost like fan art pieces to be used on social media. So doing The Boys and Knives Out. So that's a few things that I've been up to this year.
Love that night out, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I've been, so I'm going to tell you about my creative process, which basically means I'm going to show you some rough sketches and then what they turn into. But just before I get into that, I wanted to talk about, so doing licensed posters is what I always kind of wanted to do. And I've been very lucky to get to do some, but I'd always thought of myself as being a portrait artist. So what happens, as I found with licenses, is you're not able always to include the characters that you want. So, for instance, in the case of this Godfather print, I was able to include Marlon Brando, and that had to go off to the Brando estate for approval and everything. But in the case of the Godfather, I wasn't able to include Al Pacino. So obviously that kind of dictates the way that you go with a print. I mean, admittedly, I've got him kind of really tiny in the wedding procession near the bottom, but that was all I could do. No likeness. But then in the case of Scarface, I was able to include Al Pacino, and it went off to him for approval. So like one's with Paramount, one's with Universal. So the point is that's just how it goes. And so sometimes making license work, I'm proud of how both these pieces turned out, but it's maybe not exactly the same thing you might do if you were just doing it as a kind of fan art piece. And then in cases of other pictures, things I've done, like, so Jaws feels like to me that what started a kind of whole other side of my work. It actually predates Godfather and Scarface, but in this case, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do the portrait work. So then you're kind of trying to think of like how to do something different, basically. So on the left, obviously, you can see a very, very rough sketch, and then on the right, how it finished up. The key things that kind of you can see that changed here are basically the use of the angle was really important. I kind of realized by doing it that, having the type at the angle and also with the shark as well was a way to kind of tie everything together. And it all kind of comes from the playing cards on the deck, and then having Quint's like jacket strap at that same angle. Just having everything on that tilt was kind of what brought it all together. And then in the course of making something like this, so everyone knows Jaws inside out, right? And there's so many posters have been done, so you're trying to think of a different way to approach it. I kind of spotted, there's a very brief insert shot, where Quint's looking down at Hooper, and then the camera pans over to Brody, and I just thought, it's just kind of that the idea is there in that moment. It's like if I take that, I can see the whole of the orca. And if I make it vertical, then, I've got a portrait print, but also that kind of helps this feeling somehow, like the vertical position of the ship helps the feeling of like the vertigo of it, like the depth. It kind of helps that feeling. And then other things I might do, you can see there's like a little reference of me where if you're trying to get, if you haven't got exactly what you need, then you're the best person to photograph is yourself. So just to get the folds in this case and the hand position, things like that. And then on the right hand side, I've got like a work in progress. So at this point, it's kind of halfway through. It's like the boat's kind of there, but it's kind of too clean. It's too pristine. So it's a case of kind of working into that, adding more detail. And then also the very important decision was originally the shark was a shadow below the water, much bigger. And then in the end, it became obvious that just to show the shark's fin in the corner makes it work better, because it's a bit more, people don't necessarily see the shark the first time, and they kind of come back to it. And then there's a case of like all the characters are just turned away far enough, because you could argue from that point of view Quint's going to have seen it, right? But he's just turned away far enough where you can just about believe that he's distracted or whatever. So it's like not particular, even though yes, the key reference is a particular scene. The poster itself is more like it's three men in a boat and a shark. It's still about that. And then I just wanted to show so this was originally released as a giclée, and then last year I got permission from Universal to sort of redo it as a screen print. So I worked with White Duck on kind of separating out, because I'm really more of a painter. So yeah, I work in different layers, but that would be more like on a kind of like the boat is a layer, Quint is in a group or whatever. But I don't approach it like this is my color for a screen print. So then when you go, I'm just going to escape from that and go to my browser and go here. So this is like this GIF. Hopefully you can see that. Is that still working?
Yeah.
This kind of shows, this is just cycling through how you go and make a screen print from that. So if you think back in the day, someone like, I don't know, like Drew Struzan, but the obvious example, like his work is now being turned into screen prints, but he was never an artist thinking about that process. So, but the cool thing is, you can take a flat piece of artwork and turn it into a screen print. The key thing is like having enough colors. So I think the Jaws print ended up being like 15 colors. So it was, you know, it was an expensive print to do, but I kind of really wanted to do it, and I had enough kind of interest in it that made it kind of viable. So it's quite an interesting process. I've actually enjoyed working with the printer on that, where it's another skill to learn, basically. How do you kind of do that? And it's all about selecting colors, gradually building up, starting with white, obviously, as the paper, and then you're gradually adding, and just thinking carefully about, because any color that's going on top of another, that's going to potentially make the one below darker, all those kind of things. So there is a fair bit to think about, but it's quite a rewarding, satisfying process. Just go back into this. So E.T. is another one, just show the kind of start and finish. So I will go from, you know, a sort of a really, to my mind, you know, however horrible the sketch is, it doesn't matter. It's just like, I'm just trying to get whatever it is, I've kind of got this idea in my head, and it's just trying to get that down as quickly as possible, like, you know, in as few minutes as you can. So a quick look at the color, like roughly, and the general composition. As you can see, kind of what happened in this one is the bike goes on the other side, and then instead of having Elliot and E.T. in the middle, they're actually going out to the edge. And that was kind of, because what I felt with the sketch was it's kind of a bit, because of the bike and then the characters being so close, it's a bit weighted to that kind of the middle and the left, and the right hand side feels too empty. So then I'm just going to show you a little breakdown. This is like a halfway through thing. So like on this one, painting the bike and finding the reference and getting the right angle, and for the crate as well, and the blanket, took a very long time. This kind of halfway point, it's like there's, I think what you find is with all posters, or with most posters, like it's like what you don't show. So after this point, I kind of made it a lot darker, a lot higher contrast. But at this point, I'm still, you know, figuring it out. And I kind of like, in my work, I actually like to figure it out as I go. I don't mind if the idea evolves. I'm not so worried. I'm not so precious about the sketch. And that's partly why my sketches are so rough, because it's like, I don't know, I'm kind of playing with this and having fun. And then just to show, hopefully you can see on the left-hand side here, this is like what I'm thinking of, at least in the back of my mind. I don't literally put these lines on top of it, but this is, to me, what is making the composition like hold together. So it's like the way that the beam is obviously the main thing, but then bouncing that kind of almost like a diamond shape off the tree, and the way that it bounces kind of cuts through the placement of the deer in the corner, and then through Elliot and E.T. and back up to the bike, and that kind of thing. So that's one way to approach. And then doing stuff like this to get to do a licensed print in itself was a real dream. And then someone was able to take that to a Comic-Con and had it signed by Elliot, by Henry Thomas, and by Michael and Mary from the film, Dee Wallace, and so that's kind of amazing when you get to see that. Jurassic Park is one that changed, actually, I guess, more than the others. So originally I was thinking I wanted to include the Jeep, or Jeeps even, and I wanted all the four kind of main characters. Basically this evolved to be like, also I didn't feel here, well, basically it needed more dinosaur is the point. So I changed the angle, and then I actually was doing a version, which I'm just showing here, which never did get released, where I had the Jeep. So again, this was one of those things of like, you're working on a license, and it might not just be faces you can't use. Sometimes it's actual things. So in this case, the Jeep. So now in theory, you could pay extra, I think, to make this happen, right? So maybe someday, if there was any interest, you know, maybe we could do this. But yeah, this was the version I originally had. That wasn't gonna be possible. So I figured that I could sort of keep the dinosaur, keep the tree, and just go to the literally a few moments later, and kind of not have Jeff Goldblum, but have Richard Attenborough instead. And you know, there we go. So I like both versions, but you know, it's funny, things just change along the way. So at the end of that, you know, there's I feel very fortunate to have been able to do a sort of trilogy of Spielberg prints. They're not related in the sense of like, I approach them all as different things. I wasn't trying to make them all match as such, but you know, I'm very happy to have been able to make those. Just quickly move on to a Stranger Things thing. So this was in the Printed in Blood book last year, the kind of officially licensed with Netflix, which book. Now, Stranger Things is a show that I love, like so many of us who are, you know, back in the 80s, growing up and stuff. I love the key art that Kyle Lambert has done, and all the collage work. You know, it's really beautiful. My rule, and I like to work in that style. I like to do montage type stuff. So I thought my rule for this was I want to get all the characters in there, all the main characters at least, but not have a montage, because it was going to obviously tap into. It was always going to feel like it was along the lines of the key art. So, you know, it's like, how do you get an idea? So you're just watching the show, and for a long time you're like going, you know, for weeks possibly, you've got a deadline that's getting closer, and you're like, you just don't know how to approach it. And then sometimes it can just be, you know, there's nothing kind of, the kernel of the idea doesn't have to be anything clever. It's just, but it's just like the way that you quickly then realize you can do something with like a tiny moment. So in this case, you know, that they're dancing, and I just thought, oh, if I could use that and kind of have all the characters, and it's a way for me to include everybody in a kind of small space, without doing a montage. And then also, so for me, this is like trying to have fun with the lighting as well. Like I love the, you know, the out of focus lighting in the background. So it's trying to get that feel across. And then I realized as well, in the top section, I could have the monster, but done in the lights. And so many people like don't actually see that, you know, the first time, or even the second time. So that was a fun one to do. Die Hard is another one. You know, I'm not going to be able to get Bruce Willis to sign this off, so I just need to like show some of his get his hairline right, and I can get it right. This is like, you know, good.
I'm sorry, Sam. Good thing that he had a hairline back then.
Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, it would have just like looked like the stuntman. Yep. So yeah. So then it's like, obviously the scene. This is trying to take a scene in the movie, but extrapolate it out to make a poster. Obviously, first of all, you're going from landscape to portrait, so you've got that to kind of think about. But I wanted to kind of combine a few things because what I love about Die Hard is, of course, we think of it as an action movie, but it's really about how Bruce Willis is, you know, behind the scenes. He kind of, all the hard work he does is because he kind of stays out of sight as much as possible. So to me, that's kind of, you know, important theme of the film. So I just like the idea of taking the lift shaft stuff, and where he's like listening to the conversation and writing with the marker pen will be a great way to kind of have a good feel. So you go from this, like I say, very rough drawing to the final thing. So you've got like, you know, you've got obviously the scene from the film where he's never really in that exact position. You've got a lift shaft that, you know, is kind of, some of it's blurry and out of focus. So you're trying to figure out where everything is. When you actually go to paint it, if you're just looking at a still, then it gets confusing as to what's in front of what and where you are. And then just, so something like this is like looking at lots of reference of all the different things, and then kind of you're combining it. So you're trying to, it's almost like I'm trying to make it feel like it's a still, even though I'd never do that, because I feel that's not, you know, maybe like artistic enough. And you're trying to like make something that's like greater than the sum of the parts. And again, like, if in doubt, kind of use yourself for reference. Although, yeah, I've got, this is kind of a amusing one. When I put the sketch in, they said, yeah, we like where this is going, but could you make sure he's like more muscly? No, originally that was from my reference. So, you know, fair enough.
Who helped you to take the photo?
That was my wife. So my wife is my partner in crime, and as well as just supporting me, you know, in what I do. It's crazy life of.
I'm sorry, Sam, but this is a shout out to all the artists that are in the chat. I want to make a photo book of artists doing poses for their posters. So get back at me. We're gonna make this happen at some point, because I think that would be a very funny book.
It certainly would, but no one's ever seen this again, let me tell you. Yeah, there we go. So you kind of combine all these different things, and you know, end up with a poster. You know, something like this would take me weeks to do, to get all the details right. And that's where you get to. And then, so something like the Warriors, which I did last year for the 40th anniversary. This was a case where, as you can see, I was able to include the characters. And I know, like, you know, floating head posters aren't for everyone. And I get that. I really like the genre of it, and I like to do it because, you know, I like painting portraits. For me, like, I love figuring out the puzzle of the hierarchy of characters also how you can lead the viewer's gaze around the piece without letting them escape. So it's similar to like the ET thing. I'll just show you here. And obviously this is primarily like a symmetrical composition with the same number of characters on each side. So it's trying to work out which character kind of goes with another, how you can get it all to balance. And it's more like it's like a diamond in this case, where you're trying to hold it all together. So in a way, it's, you know, that's just kind of a simple way to approach it. But then to actually find all the right angles and references for everybody, that, you know, with it on the right side and all that stuff, you're kind of doing this kind of weird, horrible Photoshop dance for a long time before you can get to paint it. But that's why digital technology is great, because it does enable you to play and be, you know, figure this all out first. And then when I go to paint it, you know, that's just a case of getting the detail in there. Alien, another one, more like the Die Hard one. Sigourney Weaver's not going to be able to sign it off. So I'm going to, you know, include her from the back. In this case, like the sketch is, I think in the sketch in this one, I really kind of got the mood that I wanted right off the bat. So that it feels like again, there's a huge amount of work in between the two, but it didn't kind of veer away too much. I guess the main thing that changed was my original plan was that the alien itself would be like in the shadow, like a shadow cast on the smoke. But then it came down to the fact that it was actually more interesting to paint it, and to, you know, because you want to get all the shiny, nice stuff in there. So it was more fun to go that way. But similar to Die Hard was like the stencil on the wall. In this case, if you watch Alien, there's all the corridors are done so that along the middle section, like kind of torso height, they're quite like soft and leathery, almost like you could lean against them. So, and I saw a way to kind of take the shapes they had and make it a bit less abstract and turn it into the title. So that, you know, that's always fun to work in that way when the idea kind of works, and sometimes it doesn't. So it's just, you just got to see. This is like a kind of middle. I was like halfway through, and I actually went a bit further away from my drawing, and I was kind of adding a blue to where the alien was, and whereas before it was green and orange. And I also had a different version of Ripley where basically I realized that it was going to be better if I added Jonesy. And to add Jonesy, it all came down to getting the timing right. So this is like, she set the alarm off, but she's trying to get to the escape pod. And this is before she puts down Jonesy and then kind of runs back to kind of try and stop it. So the timing of this scene is kind of correct. And things like that can kind of drive you insane when you like, because basically I wanted Ripley in the corridor with some smoke and the alien, and then you realize that no, I've got to make sure that this is kind of accurate to that particular moment of the movie too. And then back to other characters. So it was amazing to get to do some cool Night Trilogy stuff and have both Simon Pegg and Nick Frost kind of sign them off. I actually did the Simon Pegg set first, and then kind of came to the Nick Frost ones like a year later. So there was a challenge there in terms of just making sure that they matched and were to scale. You know, obviously because like, well, you know, Nick is shorter, but you know, a fair bit wider. So it's just a case of working all that out so they were balanced. And it was fun working on a set where like these were also like individual character prints, but you know, the record makes sense for Shaun the Dead, and then it's like, okay, what am I going to do for Hot Fuzz? And then the sea mine came to mind, and then for World's End, the obvious thing was a pint glass, and then Nick Frost just has a glass of water behind him. Obviously, by the end of the film, he's happily drinking away. But yeah, so these were a real fun set to do. Also done a fair few pins, sometimes with these licenses. Like a lot of this stuff has been with a company called Fanatic, and I've been able to do some pin badges too. These are really fun where you just get to, it's kind of different mindset in a way, but I have a background as like a sort of logo designer, graphic designer, website designer. So it's more like using Illustrator rather than Photoshop most of the time. Although some of this has got sort of it's hand drawn as well, that kind of comes in and is vectorized. But these are cool, and it's just trying to, again, just get a nice little concept that just works at a small scale. So that's kind of, yeah, there we go. So after this show, I'm going to put my store back up, and at that URL there, so bit.ly/Gilbey Cartel. My portfolio is samgilbey.com. And if anyone wants to see more of my stuff or what's coming out soon, because I do have some posters that are on the way, even though I can't show them yet, the first place that you will be able to see it is in my sort of private Facebook group, which is Facebook/groups/Sam Gilbey exclusives. And there we go. I'm going to stop sharing. Hello. Oh, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I had sorry, my bad. I had some drilling here.
Okay.
And yeah, the Gareth is back.
You got me. That wasn't. I left at precisely the wrong time. I've been sat there watching the whole thing, and then you. And
sure.
And I was like, I'll nip out for a bit. Yeah, no.
We're just gonna put all the links in the comments so people know where to find you.
Yeah, the link for your store is in the description.
Already there. There you go. So lots of good stuff. But no, it's not yet. We should put it in the comments.
So I was going to say, it's not in the description, is it not?
Not yet.
No, I don't know.
Okay, we'll start that. Sorry, we'll put it in the comments as well. Yeah. But it is on. We have tweeted it, and it's on Facebook and it's on Instagram. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I would like to ask you about, which I think we obviously touched on a little bit, but and you covered it there to a certain extent, but that perspective work that you do, you know, with Jaws and with Jurassic Park is just, it's so. It really puts you in the poster a little bit. Do you get what I mean by that? You know, and are you planning to do more of those? Any more of those sorts of things?
I am, and I have a couple kind of in the works, and I like to continue it. Like, as I say, it started out as not something I ever thought I would do, because I thought, I'll always do portraits, but sometimes, like I say, it doesn't always work out with the license. So yeah, so I've kind of found this whole other thing. But I read, because obviously, so you had Andy on this morning. So Andy was doing his kind of Nerd's Eye View stuff a few years ago. Did loads of great posters in that vein, and I remember I was finishing the Jaws one, and I suddenly thought of all of Andy's work that he'd done, and he has got a top-down Jaws one. I mean, it is very different, and it's not as tight in, but it's a great poster. But I was kind of like checking with him, like, oh, I've suddenly found this new kind of way that I'm thinking of working, but I don't want to kind of tread on your toes. But he was very cool about it. He's like, well, I don't own the sense of perspective, So, but yeah, what it does do is it gives you a sense of, like you say, it's like you feel more in the scene, in the sense of like, it's like you're the one kind of craning your neck to look up at the dinosaur, or So yeah, it's an interesting way. And what I found is, because my stuff is really, it's observational painting, so it's like, if it's not a face, it's still a scene. It's still the way that the lighting works, and it's trying to get the atmosphere. Just without using a face, and I found it's a really interesting way to work. So yeah, there's loads of potential to go in that direction.
Are you working on anything that's specifically that's
that you can say? Can you tease something?
I am, but I can't say.
You can't say
because I just
But it is something you're exploring, though. That's cool.
Something
that's
I'm very
fine.
much
Don't worry
exploring,
about it.
and hopefully will be approved. And hopefully, I mean, the good thing about working this way is it normally means that if it's going for a license, it's more likely to be approved more quickly. Okay. So like with Scarface, like for instance, that took, I don't know, it was like 6 to 8 months to hear back about that one. So you've kind of done this poster and you just have no idea if anyone's ever going to see it. Yeah. Because they may just never get around to it or disapprove it or whatever it might be.
Okay. The Dutch Rudder, that's the name here from the YouTube user. He would love to see a Fury Road one that puts us on the Warwick.
That would be great. I mean, I love, like, Fury Road is probably definitely in my top 10 films ever, maybe even top 5. I'd love to do Fury Road stuff, and yeah, that's a film that's so visceral. It would really lend itself to that. You can almost do it like, you could do it from the perspective when they're kind of pinging over on those, they're from side to side, whatever you call that. You could do that, or you could do the guitar guy. It'd be amazing. So yeah. So maybe I will. Okay.
Another thing I would like to know, because we asked a couple artists before, what is your favorite poster of 2020? I'm sorry, not 19. So far.
So far. There's so many amazing things, and it's the thing. If you name one, then I feel like there's one I'm gonna forget.
I know it's going to be tough. Yeah, here's
it's definitely. I mean, I love Empire Strikes Back by Matt Ferguson is beautiful. It's a brilliant piece of work.
Yeah.
I also love, like Rory Kurtz's piece that just came out this week for Parasite. Is also brilliant. They're so very different, and it's that whole subjective thing, isn't it? Of like, I can't say one is better than the other; they're just so different. But they're the two that feel freshest in my head.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's great stuff all the time.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm trying to do like a March Madness bracket competition for 2020 posters at the end of the year, and then we might have a champion on that regard. So everybody's always welcome to vote in for that.
Cool.
And keep an eye on that. That's one of the ideas I'm still trying to do this year for the Drop Mag page, but this could also be in cooperation with AMPjam, of course. And
we'll talk.
Behind the scenes, yeah.
Exactly. Last question. What are your favorite posters that cite in a non-realism style? I hope Sharm is asking us. Sharm, how are you doing, my man?
Favorite posters in non-realistic style.
Sit in a non-realistic style.
I'm gonna have to think about that. Again, there's lots like I kind of my stuff is detailed and vaguely realistic, but I admire artists who work in a more abstract way. Like Tom Wallen would be a good example, where he's still got great character work, but they're much more abstract and geometric. I love that. Man, there's so many. Again, like I say someone's, and I'm going to miss all these others I like. But yeah, I mean that's the great thing about posters, or is there's so many different styles, and I love them all really.
Sure.
And you kind of, as the artist, you kind of think I work in this way, but I wish I kind of could do. I wish I'd chosen to go that other way sometimes.
Yeah. All right. I think that's all for now.
Yeah.
Because there's the next panel, the panel discussion with multiple artists coming up. So thank you, Sam, for stopping by and having a chat with us. And
thank you so much, man.
Your
thank you.
Process. And everybody, check out Sam's Facebook group. Check out his store and everything. Check out the Poster Posse, where Sam is also doing work for. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, and we might have a tease tomorrow, so stay tuned for that as well.
Awesome.
And thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks guys. Bye.
Bye. Cheers, Sam.
Bye-bye.